One thing has held society together for the past 25 years. SpongeBob memes. So when Nickelodeon asked me to build something SpongeBob related for the Kids' Choice Awards, they should have seen what was coming. I know what we're making now. There is one SpongeBob scene that lives in my head rent-free, and it's this. It's 3 seconds long. That's it. Never shows up again, just the one time. Now, unsurprisingly, Nickelodeon wanted our build to be a little bit bigger than a cockroach, okay? So instead, we decided to make him 6 feet tall. Before we tackled this giant build, Nickelodeon had one more thing in mind. They had seen the magic conch shell I made over on Instagram and said, hey, could we actually get some of these to use as invitations to the Kids' Choice Awards? And I was like, yo, epic, that's awesome. How many do you need? 200! They needed 200. So for the next 3 weeks, this was my life.
It feels like it's going too well.
Don't say that. We finally, how long did we, it's not Christmas!
Is licking doorknobs illegal on other planets? The answer is yes!
Over the weekend, we printed like a lot. There's a lot of conch shells. I had to order 200 of these guys.
I've been staring at these wires so long that I feel like there's lag in my eyes.
Is the lighting good now?
Yeah.
So we're dying. Dan, so instead of paying you this month, I can offer you a magic conch shell, a magic conch shell, or a magic conch shell.
What about a magic conch?
We were finally able to ship these things out. The very next day, traveled up to Open Sauce in San Francisco, got back from Open Sauce. Dan got sick. Our AC and refrigerator died when it was 100 degrees outside. And now we're here, 2 weeks before the roach has to be shipped out. And there is no part of it that exists right now. So first things first, we gotta come up with a 3D model. Now, if we modeled it directly after this picture, homie would have like 2 eyes on the same side of his head. So the closest reference we were able to find for a 3D version was actually this YouTube's toy. And I have to hand it to Dan, he's gotten pretty good at Blender, and I think he did it justice. So as always, we should print out a small version to test it out first, right? Well, wrong, we actually didn't do that. We were in too much of a rush and just kind of started printing it anyway.
Oh my god.
So we chopped up the model into almost 50 pieces and began enslaving my Bambu Labs. Now I'll spare you some of the details since this took us a couple days, but we were able to slowly start assembling him piece by piece with 3D gloop, which chemically welds the large surface areas together.
Oh my god.
Bro, it's a giant bean! Now it was time to get him smooth, which involved sanding, more sanding, and a bunch of filler primer. And here's my process for like the 2 people that are interested. Yes, I love Bondo fumes, bro. Oh yeah, oh that's not new at all. Now I know this build seems chaotic and all over the place, and that's because it kinda was. At this point we had about 5 days to ship this thing out, which means we were literally sanding and assembling parts as they were coming off the printers. I do not care what anyone says. This is art. We build bean. We also printed out some extra barrels so people could sit with the roach for a photo op. Yada yada yada, more filling, sanding, primer, filling, sanding, primer, fill. Listen, okay, I'm not gonna torture you the same way I tortured myself. And if this doesn't convey how much we actually sanded, I don't know what will.
Yes, dust. We love dust.
Come here, Bean.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. You suck! I don't know why all of a sudden we sat him on a barrel, he got so adorable. Now he's got his little arms together. So there's 3 screw holes, 3 screws.
He's real.
Gore. Look at this.
For reference, I'm like 7'6". Okay, alright, stop.
Now in addition to the actual roach and barrels, we obviously needed a table. Just for shipping reasons, it's gonna be so much easier to ship a table that folds.
No.
I really don't want to take this stupid thing back outside.
You missed a spot.
After putting the final touches on everything, it was finally time to start painting the roach too. And I gotta admit, a lot of times in these situations, things go horribly wrong, but things were actually moving pretty smoothly.
It's 98 degrees. Please paint the patty.
Even though everything already looks shiny, we're gonna give it a 2K clear coat, which is basically the clear coat that they use on cars. It's a 2-part mix, and you spray it with an HVLP sprayer. Now, in terms of shininess, these Iron Man suits are a good example of something that I didn't use it on. This guy, though, this has a 2K clear coat on it. Typically, I'd use my paint booth. This is a paint booth. I promise it's a paint booth, but a lot of this stuff is just really big. I'm gonna be spraying it outside, and then we're gonna just pass it back in here to dry.
9:21 in the morning, and it is 91 degrees right now. Feels like 100 at 9:30 in the morning.
Bean is so shiny now, bro. Alright, so the next step is we have these spokes that go around the outside. We've just added more heated inserts, and we're just gonna screw them in, thread them in. Look how shiny the eyes are. So after attaching a square block on the bottom of the body just to make sure he doesn't slide off the barrel, we assembled him fully painted for the very first time.
Oh, I hate you and I love you at the same time. Oh my god.
Bro!
This looks so stupid. Oh my god.
Hello, welcome to my new podcast. I'm here with Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean, Kendrick or Drake?
Why is there a cockroach at the table?
Shut up, Dan.
Is it really
Are
sanitary?
you actually gonna be like speciesist?
Yes,
right
it's a
now?
cockroach.
No, don't listen to him.
Those are his eyes.
Now you're gonna say he doesn't have ears?
He doesn't!
So after admiring him for a little longer, it was time to pack him up to ship him off to California.
It's moving day.
It's moving day, Bean. Wow!
Get in the box.
And this was an interesting experience for sure. After packing up all his arms and legs, we needed a box big enough for his body, and the only thing we could really do this late in the game was get 4 different Home Depot moving boxes and tape them together. Was it a perfect square? No. Was it gonna make it all the way to California in one piece? No idea. Did it look suspicious? Absolutely. Will UPS hate us the least for this? We're giving them a lot of business, to be fair. How much does Bean weigh? How much do you think Bean weighs?
Do you want it in grams?
Ounces, actually, please.
Okay.
Alright, ready?
Yep.
What does it say?
You know that church bus that we just saw pull into Chick-fil-A? The way those Chick-fil-A employees probably feel about that church bus is probably how these UPS employees are about to feel about us.
A few moments later.
The Bean is gone.
UPS man was super awesome. We explained what it was, and instead of looking at us like we were crazy, he was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you for not making me feel like I'm crazy.
Yeah, he's like, what is it? And it's like, you ever seen SpongeBob?
Oh.
I don't have my fishnet leggings. It's just for this, though.
But before it was time to head to the Kids' Choice Awards ourselves, Nickelodeon had one more surprise for us. Oh my god. They sent it back! They sent it back. Do I have PTSD?
You bet your bikini bottom.
Finally, it was time to head to California to see if Bean had made it in one piece.
One flight later.
Look at everything! Now, the day before the awards, we headed over to the venue to set up our creation in his future home, which Nickelodeon did a fantastic job with, by the way. And there he was. Did he make it without breaking, or was all of this for nothing?
Yeah, he's alive.
He had made it without a single scratch on him. Now, we did have one tiny little casualty with some of the paint getting chipped off of the table, but that was nothing a little acrylic paint couldn't fix later on. So we were finally able to set him up in his home. So we packaged him up in that ratchet box over there. He somehow made it.
We heard you had a little bit more trouble with shipping.
Yeah, just a little. The man's fingers. They'll never find me here, bro. And before we called it a day, we made a quick run to the craft store to get some acrylic paint. What's the difference between bright red and holiday red?
You're not a real woman.
and touched up the spots on the table.
The next day.
Today was the day. First, we got to attend the Kids' Choice Awards, which was my 10-year-old self's dream, by the way. I even got to beat Dan in Rock, Paper, Scissors on live TV. But this is where it was all worth it, okay? Because the Roach was definitely getting some good attention at the after party. We were all having fun. But then, out of the shadows, emerged none other than Tom Kenny.
I'm gonna cry if I meet Tom Kenny. We built this giant roach.
It's beautiful. I used to live in New York City. The roaches actually are that big. Yeah. We get along very well. Don't worry. We're not having any kind of a spat. Chilla! Woo!
I'm gonna ask, who's the real Dirty Dan?
Emily's the real Dirty Dan.
No, I'm Dirty Dan.
No, I'm Dirty Dan.
No, I'm Dirty Dan.
I'm Dirty Dan.
All right.
His name is actually Dan.
Oh, yeah. At least your name's not Kevin. Hi, Kevin.
Second question, how much jellyfish jelly is too much jellyfish jelly?
Well, you want just enough that it's gonna go comfortably on the bread, but you don't want it to. That is the perfect amount of jellyfish jelly.
Last question, how old is SpongeBob?
That's a weird thing. The show is 25. I know that much.
What's funnier than 24? 25.
But, how old SpongeBob is a question that has always remained unanswered on the show. And I think Steve Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob, wanted it to be it. He kind of has one foot in the adult world and one foot in the kid world.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel. And I'm a little older than SpongeBob, but you probably feel that way too, where you're like, I still like all the same stupid junk I did as a kid. And I kind of have to be an adult sometimes, under duress, as they say. But yeah, I don't know. I think SpongeBob's age is in the eye of the beholder.
There we go.
And if that wasn't one of the coolest moments of my life, I really don't know what would be. Anyway, first of all, thank you Nickelodeon for partnering with us on this video. We had a ton of fun. If you're interested in watching unhinged or cursed content, be sure to stay tuned for more, and thank you for watching. Here's me saying goodbye to the Bean.